Kiki, and I was like, I'm serious when it comes to clothes.
Smile, no smile hurt.
Okay, I forgot.
Fisher.
Yes.
How do you like the boots?
Baby, that's fine. I don't care. Just make sure she looks good. I don't give a fuck what I look like.
She looks good.
They don't like me for my look. They like me for the money. So I don't give a fuck.
Where are you guys on my leave?
Just leave them there,
Huh?
that's fine.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Of course.
Thank you, love. 3, 2, 1, and welcome back to the Fashion Icon Podcast once again, fashionably in Miami for Miami Spring Weekend. Today we have an amazing guest with us, and wow, look at that face. Miss Fisher, welcome to the Fashion Icon. You know, it's like so amazing to have a professional model like yourself and to see your journey, how you've grown and how you've captured the runways in New York and now here in Miami Swim Week. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get started into modeling?
So I was living in LA actually about 2 years now actually. And I was out there visiting my best friend who lives there, Kiki. I was staying in her apartment in downtown LA, and we started doing networking, you know, going out, meeting people. I'd never been there before, and we were at actually a runway show that we'd been invited to by some of her friends, and I was simply in the crowd as a spectator, and the designer of that show came up to me and was like, "Why are you not modeling?" I was like, I have literally never thought of it before. My mom was a model, my sister models. It was never really in my foresights of what I wanted to do. And, you know, they invited me to a casting literally the next day, and it was for Arts Hearts Fashion, who I'm actually walking for this Miami Swim Week.
Awesome.
And have walked in LA, New York, and Miami for them for now, I think 8 seasons. An amazing production, amazing crew, April and Eric, love them to death. And me and Kiki went to the casting. I'd never had any runway experience, and we bought a pair of shoes at Macy's. I spent everything I had in my bank account on a pair of high heels, and we practiced walking all back and forth in our living room for 3-4 hours, recording each other, going back, watching YouTube videos on how to walk, FaceTiming my mom. Mom, does my walk look okay? And, you know, we bought some black slacks and a tank top from Zara, and we went out to this casting, and I had never seen so many people in a room before with numbers, also so many beautiful people. Met so many amazing girls that I still work with till this day. The connections I made, I would never change that, you know. I value, honestly, everyone I come into contact with. And did the casting, and I was so nervous. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get it. I have zero experience, you know. The nerves I felt before walking down that small pathway to a table of what in my mind was a table of quote-unquote judges, the casting director of the show, and I was like, wow, these beautiful people around me, I'm scared to mess up or trip. Me and Kiki walked, and we didn't hear back for 3 days, and those 3 days were some of the most gut-wrenching days. I was sitting there waiting for an email, see if it was going to come through, and actually Kiki got the email first that she got in the day before me, and she didn't tell me because she didn't want to disappoint me that I didn't get in, because we both thought I didn't get in. And 24 hours later, I got the same email, and I told her that I got the email, and she went, "Yeah, I got mine yesterday. I didn't want to tell you." I didn't know
is
you
this
were doing it.
Kiki the one that Peter Brown just met a few minutes ago?
Yes, absolutely. It is, in fact, an amazing girl. She owns a magazine. She started in fashion school and university. She just graduated a month and a half ago. So proud of her. She's an amazing person. Also an incredible model. Definitely.
And one of the things that, you know, that you just mentioned is so, like, I would say it's the key ingredient to success, and it's pretty much networking.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's, I've been to 4 fashion shows so far in Miami Swim Week, and it's incredible how many people lose that chance to meet, because the photographers, they stay together and they look at each other as competition. The models stay together with their friends and all that, and they don't go out and do what you did. And I think that is, besides you have an amazing personality and you're just breathtaking, beautiful, the legs, amazing, it's like, and I see you on the runway, so you're quite captivating. Now, in your experience, what advice would you give to a newbie that is coming in and wants to go into a casting or wants to do, a fashion show? What advice would you give to that one girl or to the younger you when starting into modeling?
I think one of the main pieces of advice that I took from someone in my early stages was, don't not go to a casting because you think you're not going to get it. You could go to the same casting for an agency 5 different times, but until the 5th time they won't choose you, because on that specific day you might not be what they were looking for on that first day, but the second day they'll be like, oh wait, I saw this girl yesterday, but they see you in a new light and they'll be like, oh, now we want her. You have to keep trying. You'll get 20 no's before you get a yes, and even if you get the yes the first time, don't let it get to your head, because there's so many people in the industry that want the same thing that you do. You have to persevere through. Ego is one thing. Once you start getting jobs, don't let that stop your drive. Keep the passion going. If you love it, don't stop. And because people are going to look at you weird and say, oh, she thinks she's this, or she thinks she's all that, you should think you're all that, but in a positive light of uplifting yourself, not in a way of getting in front of other people. Don't step on other people. Always lift the girls around you. The best thing you can do is lift them up, get advice from them. People that have been in the industry longer than you. Take every interaction you have with someone and learn from it. Take a tidbit from here and there, and you'll kind of compose your own storyline. And like I said, meeting people. Networking is the main part of modeling. It really is. I was at an event last night. Met so many more photographers that have always been there behind the scenes, but I've never got the chance to talk to them because we're ships crossing in the night, always both so busy. But just never, don't do it because you doubt yourself. There could be one day it's a no, the next day it's a yes.
Well, it's what I've always heard, that is scientifically proven, that it's 80%, 80 to 20 ratio. 80% of the times you're going to be rejected, and that 20%, it's like, I want to get all that, 80% out of the way. I want everybody to reject me, not to want me, so I can get to that 20% and get all accomplished. And it's funny that you mentioned about ego. Yesterday, I met in person this model that I've always admired, because social media and everything that I saw. And when I met her in person and I invited her to the podcast, her ego went through the roof, kind of like, oh, because of this and all that. And then the producer of the show comes up and he introduced me in another light. He's like, hey, let me introduce you to Baron. This is the guy that I've been talking about you, that's been doing this for this. And, oh my God, that is you. But you know what happened? I was like, I no longer want her in the podcast. I don't want her anymore. Because with that ego, if you're that big in your own mind and you don't know who the other person is, it's like one of my best friends is a multi-millionaire, and if you see this guy, you'll never know. You'll never know. He just wears Walmart shorts, white Skechers sneakers, just a plain old T-shirt, and he comes down to Miami to have croquetas, and just to hang out with, with his people, I would say, because he is Cuban, and the whole thing is that it's like being genuine. And like you said, never ever doubt yourself. They will reject you, but at the end of the day, if you keep on going with your determination and all that stuff, you're going to be needed and wanted by other designers. So that is quite so. What have been your biggest accomplishment in modeling?
I think my biggest accomplishment, well, a goal of mine for a very long time, as most models goals go, is getting signed to an agency. I got signed to an agency in December. They are my mother agent in Orlando, and now it's time to reach out to the bigger ones and have meetings with Next and Ford. I've visited them multiple times, Next, Ford, Wilhelmina, Elite Models, and like I said, I got turned down from all of them the first time, but now I have a meeting with the Source on Friday.
Awesome.
So you just have to keep going. You have to be hungry for it, And the hunger is what will drive you. I will say feed off that hunger, notice it and relish in it. And it's also taking in, I struggled a lot taking in the moments when I'm backstage and like let it be a blur and blacking out and not remembering anything. I like to sit down now, even if it's by myself. It's very easy to get caught up talking to people backstage and all this and that. It's nice to take a moment, sit down, and kind of watch it for a second. When I get my hair and makeup done, I put my AirPods in and I listen to music. I like to, kind of meditate before, soak it all up, watch the other designers dressing girls, watching the makeup artists do other looks for other girls. It is honestly insane when you kind of block out the noise, the humming around you, and soak it all up. I think my biggest accomplishment is meeting so many people. I have so many friends for life now. Meeting you, that was honestly, I had the best experiences here, and I wouldn't change that or take that for granted ever. But yeah, getting signed to an agency was definitely one of my main goals for a very long time, and I've accomplished that. So now it's like, okay, what's next? Getting signed to a bigger agent, working internationally. Just keep moving forward. That hunger is there, and I'm still very hungry.
Well, I think you're in the right path. One of the things that I've always tell the girls that are getting into modeling is kind of like envision yourself working for that model. But before you do that, if you really go onto their webpage and look at the photos of all the models, take a look at all of the photos and styles that they have in each one of the models that they represent. You will find, if you keep your eye on the ball, so to speak, that they all have a common denominator why they got chosen. It's not because they're the tallest, they have, the most beautiful, they have the best, looking legs or biggest boobs or stuff like that. No, look at it. There's a certain thing, and it's all in their eyes. Mm-hmm. And I think that you have that. I think that you're going to be a successful model, and you're going to accomplish many, many, many things in the future. So tell me a little bit about this Miami Swim Week. What designers are you walking for? What shows are you walking on?
So I went to a couple castings this week. I arrived in Miami 2 days ago. I was actually in Washington, D.C. before. Beautiful place, side note. I'm doing the Arts Hearts production for 4 days. I did a casting yesterday for Sports Illustrated, waiting to hear back from them. Fingers crossed, they seem to be interested, so we'll see.
Which one, the one in Miami Beach or the one that they're doing downtown or Coconut Grove?
The one on South Beach, I think.
Oh, yeah, South Beach, okay.
So that's honestly, Sports Illustrated is definitely a runway goal for many Swim Week models. Right. So fingers crossed that one. But I know I'm confirmed for Arts Hearts as other seasons. Love them. Like I said, great production team, producer, and head of it. They're all amazing people.
Yeah, they do high quality events, which I think, and their coordination, from what I've heard from other people, it's like they're on point. So they have a great thing going on.
Yeah, I will say they probably have 50 hair and makeup artists backstage, 50 hair, 50 makeup. It is a lot of people. They have 3 volunteers per designer minimum, people dressing people, handing out waters and stuff, checking on models. I will say they care about their models, which it's rare to find, because a lot of the times they just want to, get the shows out and get them done. These people take time, they build relationships with every single one of their models.
That's another key to success. There you go, you keep nailing it, girl, because, it's like relationship, it's all about, it's like yesterday, my car got towed because I parked in the wrong place. Obviously, my fault. But I knew a guy that knows a guy, and relationships. I got my car back, 0 pay, and no time. All it took was a phone call. Why? Because I have that relationship. So that is the power of I always tell people, like, I'd rather have one friend than $1 million, because that one friend could help you a lot more. And oftentimes we don't pay attention to our friends, because sometimes, I know that in my case, I have a friend that she drives me crazy. She tells me the harsh truth to my face. She is very cruel with me, but then I hate her for about half a second. Then I'm like, let's review this. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yeah, let's take a look at that thing. Maybe we can improve on that. But relationships are very, very important, especially in the fashion industry.
Absolutely.
Okay, that is quite changing. So, how do you feel about this change that most everything is now digital versus, having a magazine on your hands and stuff like that?
Personally, as I said, my mother was a model, so having her hard copy of photos all over our house, magazines with her in them, I think there is something so special about a hardcover on a coffee table when you walk in a room. When you go to any agency, what do they have? Magazines everywhere of all their models. I think there's something so special. It's also a tactical experience. You're touching it, you're flipping pages, you're more engaged rather than being on a phone and just scrolling, because you can just scroll past anything. There's 101 things going on at once. It's overstimulating for the mind. When you have paper hard copy things, you have to flip manually. You have to touch the paper. You have to smell the aroma of the paper, different textures of print. I think we have not necessarily lost quality, but there's a certain aura to a magazine versus scrolling. Also, with editing and Photoshop, there's such misconstrued. You can see someone in person. I know a couple people that I see here.
Well, I saw a few yesterday that I was like, that's what she really looks like.
No, yeah, they can be deceiving. And there was a funny story. There was a designer I'd walked for, and she'd reached out to me prior. And I was like, this girl is stunning. No one, her clothes are beautiful, but she is also like insanely gorgeous. Met her in person and she did not look like that. Still a beautiful human being, but I was like, wow, it's just, I don't know how some people don't notice they're over editing.
The over editing and the over surgery, especially here in the 305, you can hardly recognize that. So with that said, let's get the show on the road. We're going to go ahead and do some photo shoot. I want to talk you to death throughout the photo shoot to learn more about this amazing model with a super, super kind personality and a bright future ahead of her. So let's go outside. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Transfer that baby right out so I can start doing some. Oh, you're welcome, baby.